Hello, welcome back. Thank you for rejoining me for solo. Thank you. Today I'm going to be talking about dying, but not in a negative sense. Sure, we all have a rational fear of dying, but we also have a very rational love of living, and it's very important that that fear of dying doesn't overtake our love of living. And in this day and age, a lot of the messages that have been put out there for us have been based on a fear of dying, which is fine, except that it can be a way to control the population. One of the things that I did to help myself, but obviously, hopefully to help others, was in the 90s I became a doctor and a director in the Hospice Movement, which at that time was not that evolved. And looking back, it was to help me understand the process of dying, and in most cases it meant that I came to peace with it, hoping to instill that peace in those that were dying, and they certainly instilled a lot of peace to me. So at that time I started to write poetry, and I wrote a few around that time, but very few, and it wasn't only till the last 2 years that I've written more. So, and the first poem I wrote was in rhyming couplets, which I don't tend to do now. Maybe I was more focused in those days, I don't know. And it was called Dedicated, and it was probably dedicated to those I was working with and those who were dying. And I think I read it out at a conference at one stage in the 90s, called Dedicated. Dedicated to those who see the beauty in form and greet each day as if newborn, and value each breath as if were gold, and have no fear of growing old. To those whose precious gift can share with those who have but deep despair, and set alight the human flame that melts the chains that overwhelm. To those who see beyond the form, to feel the power of a heart that's warm, and don't despair, as change we must, from ashes to ashes, and dust to dust. This interest was rekindled in me this week, listening to some amazing podcasts from Anita Moorjani. I was lucky enough to witness a talk in Australia from Anita some years ago. And if you don't know, Anita had a near-death experience. In fact, she had a terminal illness, and pretty well on her deathbed, changes happened, and she had experiences of the dying process, almost what it was like to die. And through those experiences, or alongside those experiences, she healed quite miraculously. So now she dedicates her time and her writing and her podcasting into explaining this. And one of the recent podcasts, and I'll mention it down below, I'll give you the link, was what do the dead do? What do they do? Do they do anything? Is there any doing? Is there a sense of being when we die? And I think even she would admit that people who have had insights into this, those who have had near-death experiences, only know part of the story. It's a bit like predicting the final score at half-time when it's 1-1. So I really recommend you having a look at those. It certainly makes you think. And hence, after watching these and listening again to Anita, I wrote this a few days ago. And it's called Dying for Dummies. Dying is simply flying without wings, whilst getting by without things. Thank you very much. I hope you didn't find this depressing. It wasn't supposed to be. It's supposed to be sort of uplifting for our souls. And all the very best. Thank you very much.